Welcome, class, to Lesson 8-10. Today, strong mathematicians can sort triangles and quadrilaterals by a number of different rules. Grab your notebook, your pencil, write down today's date, the name of the lesson, and let's jump right in. So just a review, because here are the things we might have to break down things about. A right angle is 90, a straight angle is 180 degrees, an acute angle is between 0 and 90, an obtuse angle is between 90 and 180 degrees. Parallel lines are lines that never touch each other, and perpendicular lines are lines that are going to form right angles when they cross. And let's begin with today's questions. So I have a variety of different quadrilaterals. Actually, not even, are they all? Yeah, they're all quadrilaterals. Nope. Looks like that one's, no, that is a quadrilateral. They're all quadrilaterals. So the question is, which figures have one or more acute angles? So I'm going to go right down my list. So what acute we remember is between 0 and 90 degrees. So I'm looking at it has one or more. So the first one, does A have it? No. Does B have it? It looks like, well, right here and right here are acute. So yes, we can put B down here. Let's see, C. Well, it looks like, yeah, I think this one's acute. So you can put C works as well. D, let's see. Oh, I think these are going to be acute. These look less than 90 degrees. E, let's see. I think I'm looking. This one for sure definitely has to be one. There's E. F, looks like F has quite a few of those. G, let's see. Yep, I'm guessing this one right here. G has one. And it looks like H has at least one. So I ran out of real estate. I'll have to put H over here. So notice there are a lot of figures that have one or more acute angles. So now let's see which ones have more right angles in our green right here. Well, right angles we know are easily identified by these nice little squares in the corner. So we know A looks like it has right angles. And we also look like G has right angles. So we got A and G as well. And that looks like, oh, and I almost forgot that one. H also has some right angles as well. And last but not least, which has one or more obtuse angle. So we know that A doesn't because A only has right angles. But my guess is if we look like this line looks more than obtuse, probably the same as this one right here. So let's just say B has those. Let's see, C. I'm going to say this one looks pretty close, but this looks like it would be right. So it's just a little bit more than a right. So my guess is the same thing would be hold true with this side as well. Just a little bit more. So that would be C right there. D, yep, I'm going to say if this was straight down, so it's just a little bit more. This is a little bit more right there, so that would be D as well. I was thinking this one right here looks like it's more as well. This one probably also looks pretty close, but a little bit more. So E's got some. F, it looks like these ones right here. It looks like this one would be 90 if it would be right about here, it looks like. And kind of like right here. So it looks like that's both of those are bigger. F. And this one right here looks like just this one looks like it's going to be obtuse. That would be G. And last but not least, it looks like this one right here looks bigger than that 90 right there. So that would give me H as well. So notice we got a couple things in different categories. Which figures have one or more acute angles? We had B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Which ones had right angles? A, G, and H. Which ones have more than one or more obtuse angles? B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Interesting that they'll have one or more acute, also have one or more obtuse angles. Kind of that connection between acute and obtuse angles. So you can draw those shapes down to kind of help you out, and then how they have different categories. Here are the same shapes, but two more different questions. Now we're combining more than one thing and put them into those categories. Which figures have both acute angles and right angles? Well, if we look at our past page, we could probably find that as well really quickly. Or we can just look again at which ones are right angles. Well, we know right angles are, we got here for a right angle, we have G and we have H. So those all have right angles. We know that there are no acute angles in A because they're all right angles, so we can eliminate that one. And for here we have an acute. We know that this one right here was acute, and this one's an acute, and it looks like this one's acute. So which ones have both? That one would be only G and H. Now, which ones have both an acute angles and obtuse angles? Well, if we think about that, besides A, we know that here was an obtuse angle, And the opposite of the obtuse angle is an acute angle. And that's happened pretty much in every single one. I'm going to do this. Don't tell. That's what took good notes last time. We're going to notice right here, we've got B on both the ones. We got C, we got D, we got E, we got F, we got G, and we got H. So if we look back at those, every single one of those had acute and obtuse angles, except for A. So with that one, which figures have both acute angles and obtuse angles? B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And how do we know that? We used our graph from the last page and all that hard work we put into that first one, identifying all the angles of all the shapes. Right now, so that's it with angles. Now we're going to go up with some perpendicular sides and parallel sides. So looking at these same figures right now, we have, which one of these figures have perpendicular sides? When we think perpendicular sides, we think of sides that form 90 degrees. So once again, here's perpendicular. So we see right there, we have A's got a whole bunch of them because you see all those circles right there. We have G's got, looks like one set of perpendicular lines. And H looks like they have two, this line right here and this line right there. So then I might as well go and make these to show that this one has all four perpendicular sides. So which figures have perpendicular sides? It would be A, G, and H. It says which figures have exactly one pair of opposite sides parallel. So only one side of opposite sides parallel. Well, this one, we know that this is parallel with this side, and this one is this one. So that has two. That would be not one, right? I probably should put two there. There we go. This one looks the same right there, parallel, and this one looks parallel. So those two sides are never going to touch each other. Same thing holds true with C, it looks like. These are the same, and these are the same. Well, here we have this one, but those other two lines look like if they would continue on, they're going to meet up. So that one only has one right there. What about this one? I don't see any parallel lines. I don't think any lines are parallel to each other. F, well, looks like this ones are parallel and this one's parallel. Do you have any parallel lines in this one? Looks like, no, it looks like these are going to, if I look at this one looks like they're going to meet up eventually. And looks like this one and this one would meet up eventually. So there are no parallel lines in that one. And here we have this one and this one look parallel, but the other ones don't. So it looks like the ones that have parallel lines are our D and our H. Have exactly one pair of parallel lines. Which figures have two pairs of opposite sides parallel? Well, the good thing we did is our homework before, as we went through each and every shape to make sure we have that one. So which ones have two? We have A. I'll have to scroll down so a little more room to write all these. We have A has two parallels. Looks like B does, as well as C. We also have only one for D, none for E. F has some as well. So those would be some of the ones that have two pairs of opposite sides parallel. And we look at some other questions. Now, kind of a combination of these questions. Which figures have both parallel and perpendicular sides? Parallel and perpendicular sides? Well, the big clue is that if it has perpendicular sides, it has to have right angles, which means they're down to A. So this has a right angle here, and a right angle here, and a right angle here. So those could all work. And which ones also has parallel? Well, we know that parallel means they can't touch. Well, we know a rectangle sides don't touch. That makes it a rectangle. So A for sure is in there. Said anyone on G have parallel? Looks like no, these are going to meet and those are going to meet like we talked about in the last one. So I think G's a no-go. But I think, yeah, this line right here and this bottom line of this trapezoid, there's another shape that helps us out, that tells us that we don't have one. So the two that have both parallel and perpendicular sides are A and H. And which figures have no parallel or perpendicular sides? So if you look at this one, which has neither one of those, and we talked about before that a lot of them had stuff, but remember that this one right here, letter E, there are no right angles, and there are also no parallel sides. So the only one that has no parallel sides or perpendicular would be shape E. So that's going through a bunch of shapes, looking at their angles. There's also a bunch of shapes looking at their sides, and even combining both of these together. So now it's your turn. We got a lot of the same questions, but we've changed the shapes on you now to see if are you able to identify these shapes and give them their clues. So right now I can draw each of these shapes out. I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. and answer the questions of A, B, and C, which ones have one or more acute, one or more right angles, and one or more obtuse angles. So you can pause the video right now. Take your time. Good luck. Now they have that drawing too. You can also identify which figures have both acute angles and right angles, which figures have both acute and obtuse angles. And with those same figures as well, which figures have perpendicular sides, which figures have exactly one pair of opposite sides parallel, and which figures have two pairs of opposite sides parallel. So you can pause the video now, go through the different sides that they have, and solve those problems. And last but not least, which figures have both parallel and perpendicular sides, and also which figures have no parallel or perpendicular sides. So pause it right now, go through all those different combinations, discussing what they have. Make sure you list the feature of what you're looking for and the shapes that have them, not just a bunch of letters, because that's not going to help me at all. So with that, thank you very much. And that leads us to our box today. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to write them down or share them out. Also, the strategy that you use, make sure you share those out as well. And as always, thanks again for another great lesson.